أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. In this series of lectures on the mystery letters, I have been talking about different letters and the formula that we have produced regarding these mystery letters. And the formula was explained in one of these lectures that the letter, it sounds, the sound that it creates and the sound within that alphabet. Everything has a special role in the theme, in the subject matter, in the harmony, in the word selection, and in the different verses or the sentences of that particular chapter. In this video, I'm going to analyze one letter surah, that is Sad, in the same formulaic manner, so that we understand the role of that cut letter in that particular surah. The name of the chapter is Sad. The letter that occurs before, or the first letter that occurs in the beginning, is also Sad. So, interestingly, there is a good combination of the letter and the surah. But before we proceed, I would like you to share such videos because they are academic, they are full of knowledge, they are talking about the Quran's knowledge in a very linguistic, academic and knowledgeable manner. So, we would like you to provide feedback from your side, what you have learned from this video. The context of the surah is also very important, especially in this surah, and normally I would like to say that there is, to every chapter there is a context. I shall be using the word chapter and the surah simultaneously for the chapter of the Holy Quran. The first thing that occurs is the time as explained, the time of revelation. At the time of the revelation, Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was put in a very difficult situation by the tribes of Quraysh who visited Abu Talib when he was sick, and they were almost sure that he was going to die. So they came to him and said to him that your nephew has created trouble for us and we want to have a deal with you, a bargain. What is the bargain? The bargain is that he should be left to his God and we should be left to our gods, so that there is a compromise between you and us. And they were saying this, that it is better to do whatever we would like to do now, because it was high time we did something now, because if Abu Talib died and if we took any action later, people would say that in the presence of his uncle they never dared to say anything against the Prophet. But now that he is gone, they have become braver. So the Arabs didn't want that blot to be stuck on them. So they came for this deal. That deal was not accepted by the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he disagreed completely with this. Then they also, it is said that they offered another suggestion. And the suggestion was that we could bargain for a young man in place of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and you can keep the young man in place of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we can take revenge from him, and you can, keep the young man. The uncle Abu Talib called this ridiculous. So this was the time. This was a you can say this was a very trying time for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, because on the one hand his uncle was dying, and the other was that his wife Khadija also died in the same period. So it was a very trying time for the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So what did he need? We should know what did he need at that time. He needed sabr. And Saad in Arabic stands for sabr. Very interestingly, Saad stands for sabr. And now the next thing is that all the prophets that have been mentioned in this surah, they are known. They are known for their patience and perseverance. And the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam have been told the story or the stories of those prophets who were highly patient. Interestingly, the prophets who brought azab or wrath of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on their nations, they are not mentioned in this surah. Even Musa alayhi salam has not been mentioned. Nuh alayhi salam has not been mentioned. So the point is that it is sabr. He has been asked to do patience. Show patience. This was high time to show patience. So this surah begins Su'ad, well, Quran is a zikr. And we can easily translate it that it is the patience that the Quran is reminding you about. Because it is through these verses that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to the Prophet, Isbir ala ma yaquluna, that you remain firm, perseverant in the face of the difficulties that they are creating. So what did the Quraysh want to say or to do? They say, وَانْتَلَقَ مَرْأَوْ مِنْهُمْ أَنِمْشُوا وَاسْبِرُوا عَلَىٰ آلِهَتِكُمْ إِنَّ هَذَا لَشَيْءٌ يُرَادٌ. It is required. What is required of you, O people of Quraysh, to stand firm by your gods? Stand firm. وَاسْبِرُوا. You stand patient with your gods. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the verse number 17, Asbir ala ma yaquluna wazkur abdana Daud. Yani means that you also remain patient and remember. So there is an association. Abdana Daud. You remember Daud alayhi salam. Zal aidi innahu awwab. That he was the person who kept turning to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala again and again. So you see, the relationship is very clear. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam regarding the sword of sabr. You remain constant in your field, and you remain constant in your teachings. And interestingly, there is a connection between Saad and Sabr and Salat, and also the relationship between Salat and Zikr. Aqimis Salat al-Zikri. That Salat has been established, or Salat has to be established for the Zikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there is a constant relationship between Salat, Saat and Zikr. قال إني أحببت حب الخير عن ذكر ربي حتى توارت بالحجاب. And there is the story of the Prophet Sulaiman alayhi salam, that he said that he loved the love of the things, and he said that this was, there is a difference, variation of translation. Some have translated it that I remained in the love of these for the zikr of Allah, and some say that I remained away for the love of these from the zikr of Allah. Whatever there is a relationship between the zikr and the salat and the remembering. So there is the constant association and constant reference to Saad, Salat and Sabr. And then it says that there is the mention of Ayyub alayhi salam, and we know that the the very name of Ayyub alayhi salam has been constantly known, and in the history he is known as Sabir. So you see, the prophet for sabr, the prophet has been reminded of the sabr. So there is a constant reference to sabr, and there is constant reference to the prophet to remember those people.